Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Circumstances and necessity make us act in certain ways. So depending on what the circumstances are, we employ a certain kind of strategy in order to achieve and attain our goals. Now that works in our personal lives, that works as a household, that works as a business, that works as a country. Countries will employ certain kind of policies in order to achieve certain goals, as well as us as individuals. And here we have two main, I would say, different ways of doing business or achieving goals. Unfortunately, this became evident after 1991, after Russia, Soviet Union, my bad, disappeared and disintegrated into pieces. And you had United States, who became the sole leader of this world, economically speaking, military speaking, financially speaking. And the best way to see a person's character is to allow or give that person power and see how that person will manage power. And it's not that power changes people or money change people, it's just allow to people to be themselves, because they have no, in their mind, accountability. Nobody can do anything to them, so they will be themselves. And that's the great way to figure out how people are, or countries. So after 1991, United States applied this strategy. We are the strongest, nobody can oppose us. So we're gonna be rogue, rough, and we're gonna lead by power, by strength. And if you cross us, we're gonna smash you. Financially, economically, and militarily, which way it's most convenient to us. Unfortunately, doing that, you create a lot of enemy. An enemy that were hurt by you, or enemies that think, if I dare to do something that this guy doesn't like, he's gonna hurt me, like the examples he already set for us to see. And there's the other option, which is Russian option. Now that option is because Russia is not as powerful by far compared to United States of America's global influence, economic influence and military influence and economic influence. So they have to be a little bit more friendlier. At the foundation, they have the same attitude like we have. We are tyrants inside, more or less, depending on the circumstances. So the same Russia doesn't behave that way as United States right now, because that's how countries would behave if they have the hegemony, a global hegemony. I'm pretty sure that if France will have hegemony, would behave the same way. Why? Not because the French are bad or the Americans are bad, because that's the way we are as humans, more or less. It's just a quantity. So we have here an example where Russia is using what it uses now: cooperation, negotiation, and helping countries to develop economically, not impose and then ask for something. Ask, you know what I mean, by imposing. The United States right now says, you gotta do this, otherwise I'm gonna do this to you. That's the method. Russia is like this: you need help, I can help you, I can invest, I can build this, I can do this. Why? In the future, Russia will develop a relationship with this particular country. And then maybe when Russia is going to have a hegemony, which I don't think it will have, because it's hard to dethrone the big guy, but it's going to use different methods because it doesn't have the same muscle. Not necessarily the attitude. We can say, well, the attitude, we can't really look at that because we look at the Soviet Union, even though it's not the same thing. But anyway, it employed a different attitude since 1991. I don't know if that's according to their weakness, or because that's just different. I'm still waiting to figure out which one is it, or both. In this case, they are building nuclear power plants in different countries. They developed bricks. They got involved in organizations in East and Asian organizations and for developing countries, they got involved not as the boss, as a partner. Well, I know I could be, Emil, you're too naive, do you think? Well, as of now, they act like that because they do not have the power. It doesn't mean that if they would get to be the strongest, which I don't think they will not show who they really are, like United States leaders show. Because that's the way we are as humans. I'm not pointing out the United States are bad people. As I said, they have the circumstances that will allow them to do. Don't waste time. Just go and change the regime and they will do whatever you want them to do. Is it fair? No, but you don't have time for that. And besides, why do you care? Because you're strong enough. Are you going to punch me back? No, so shut the fuck up. So let's go and see this article coming from Sputnik. And it's from today, actually 7 minutes ago, before I started this video. Russia to deliver nuclear fuel to Bangladesh in October, Rosatom chief says. I didn't even know they have this together. The 2,400 MW Raipur nuclear power plant is currently under construction in Bangladesh with the help of Russia in accordance with a 2015 agreement. The Russian-funded project will start generating electricity from 2023, next year. Fantastic. Isn't that great? Yeah, I think so. I think it's fantastic. So you see, these guys invest and help those countries, and they will provide them with, obviously, nuclear fuel for that. That's how it goes. And operate it, probably, to a certain extent. Rosatom will supply fresh nuclear fuel to the Raipur nuclear power plant and RNPP under construction starting in October. CEO of the Russian State Nuclear Corporation Alexei Likachev told Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina on Thursday. The Rosatom CEO told the premier that the company looks to, quote-unquote, celebrate the arrival of the fresh nuclear fuel in Bangladesh, end quote, with the participation of the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, Director General, among others. And I'm quoting, "Together, every day we are moving closer to the launch of the nuclear power plant, which the people of Bangladesh are eagerly waiting for," end quote, the Rosatom chief said. Beautiful. He assured the Bangladeshi Prime Minister about the plant's high-powered nuclear reactors, there's more than one, that's fantastic, that will help it to generate optimum electricity. We see that the construction of the first nuclear power plant in Bangladesh is actively progressing despite the obstacles that the pandemic has created for us, Likachev said. The Russian government's run operation also opened a state-of-the-art center to train operating personnel for the $12.6 billion nuclear power plant. The plant is based on third-plus generation reactors with a power generation capacity of 2,400 megawatts. It will play a significant role in meeting the ever-growing demand of the energy-starving country. Fantastic! So these guys are building projects. They're not going to say, now you owe us. Well, it seems that they have a good diplomatic relationship. It's not based on I'm going to punch you in the face if you don't do what I say, yet. But as of now, there's no evidence. So that's the honeymoon or the beginning of the relationship, which is great. It's great. Now, obviously, we're going to have the other ones, United States, instead of saying, oh, that's great for the Bangladeshi. No, they will try to stick something in the whole project. Because that's the way it is. And you say, well, the Russian wouldn't do that, but they can't. That's a fair statement. Probably they would, if they would be competing. But they know they're far down. And you see, Russia invests in other countries that are really fed up with a hegemony leader, which is the United States and its demands. And it's actually right there. And the same with India. There are people and countries that are frustrated with this method of leading. Do what I say, otherwise I'm going to smack you. So I know you will develop a hatred towards this kind of individual imposing you this kind of environment. So that's great. That's a positive thing. What can I say? United States the leadership seem not to want to change the behavior. Look what they do with, they try to do with everyone. If there's a country that doesn't do what they say, they don't talk to them. They say, we're going to impose sanctions on you. Look what happens with Saudi Arabia. Really? They're going to, what? We're going to sanction you. Why? Because they decided to drop the production in their own interest. But this guy said, no, you got to do what I say. You got to hurt yourself for my benefit, which Europe is doing like idiots that they are, because their foreign policy is dictated by Washington, D.C., not by Berlin and all those guys. No. That's just weasels. Paris. Okay. So it's a different attitude. It seems like a little plantation of the big club, with United States being the leader. As I said, the house servant is Great Britain, and the rest are bottom feeders, are plantation slaves cutting the sugar cane. That's what it is. NATO and European Union and the monolithic West and the blah blah. This is what it is. It's blackmail and threats. Try to get out of it. Try to get out of it. You say, well, I don't want to get out. I want to get in. Yeah, really? Try to get out and see what happens. I know exactly what, and you know exactly what would happen if countries will start saying, I want out of NATO. Okay, I want out of European Union. Do you think they're going to say, okay, well, thank you very much. It was nice doing business with you. See you. Never. When you walk away. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.